Hi, my name is Randy Malden with Supply Leaders Academy, and in this series of videos we're talking about how to build an effective, high-performing, profitable procurement team. And we've talked about staffing and forming, and the next stage is storming. The most passionate, constructive, and destructive phase, potentially destructive phase you can go through if it's not controlled. So let's talk about what's happening first. What's happening in the storming phase? In the storming phase, the team is coming together and people are positioning. They're determining who the leaders are, who the followers are, how they're going to be communicated with, who's going to communicate with them, what's going to be expectations for that team, and they're trying to make it the best situation for them, so that when at the end of the project or as being part of the team, they're able to have a positive outcome in their work performance and their performance evaluations, and they're able to continue to grow in their career. And they're doing this by storming, and you as the leader want to control this process so that when they storm, when the dust settles, you have people focused on what you want them focused on, not in personality conflicts or infighting or political stuff going on. We don't have time for that, and we don't want that. The only time that develops and festers is in this storming phase. And as the leader, you're going to control this by using some of the tools we'll talk about here as a way to make sure people identify who they are and where they fit in the team. And they also learn how to communicate with the rest of the team that's effective and positive, so that you're always focused on strategic sourcing, not infighting or any other political nonsense we've all seen in the movies and those kinds of things. And we don't want any of that. Instead, what we want is a good storming process that's very positive. So how do we control it? And I use the word control. I don't use the word manage. I use the word control because as a leader, we want to control this phase. We don't want to leave anything to guess. We don't want to leave people out there to figure out on their own what you want them to do. Instead, you want to be very well aware of what you want them to do, and you want to build the team around that performance, and then you want to build that team member around the performance of the others so that you're successful. So you're controlling this. And the way you do that with these tools is you start with a strategic plan. When we work with our clients, you and I sit down with your team and develop the strategic plan so that we know where we're going and what the purpose of the team is and how it fits into the larger organization. And that allows people to identify how they fit into your strategic sourcing team. Next thing you want to do is some team building exercises. When we come together, you and I sit down and we develop team building exercises that help your team go through and this process of storming positively in a way that allows them to exercise communication, allows them to identify conflict problem solving processes. So when they identify a problem, they're able to work through it in a positive way that quickly develops a solution. And then we go through communication. When you did your assessment before, you learned your behavior style, and then you shared that assessment with your team, they learned their behavior style. The next step is to bring those people together, and so that they're able to communicate the different personality styles that they have, and they start to learn how to communicate. The report we send you details not only the personality style of yourself and of your teammates, but it also gives you tips and tricks on how to communicate with the different behavior styles. And then we go through training. When we do training with your team, we sit down and we go through the very basic process of procurement training in learning how to do procurement solicitation, supply management, negotiations, financial analysis, market analysis, leadership, marketing. All these skills are laid out in our training courses, so when your team comes through our courses, we're able to build that foundation of knowledge that allows everyone to have a common understanding. So when you have the strategy and the team building and the communication, it's built on a foundation of knowledge that allows your team to grow quickly. The friction, the uncertainty is no longer there because you've taken the steps required to build a solid foundation for your team. This is all part of the storming process. You're going through, people are figuring out what's going on, they're trying to position themselves, and the way to control that is to start with strategic planning so everyone understands the mission, vision, and purpose of the team and where you're headed, coming up with some team building exercises, making sure everyone understands not only their communication style, but the communication style of everyone else on the team. And then we go through training to make sure we have a solid foundation of knowledge in procurement and supply management. So when you bring the other teams of experts together in sales, marketing, and finance onto your team, even if you're not directly responsible for them, they're still on your team helping you. They understand all the tools and the concepts required for strategic sourcing. I hope you've enjoyed this video. The next stage in team building is norming. This is where your team starts to settle down and understand why they're there and able to focus on building that strategic sourcing program. They're not to optimize yet. They're not in the performing stage. They're not optimizing, but they're just starting to come together and understand what they're doing. There's no more of this positioning and infighting and any of that other stuff. It's all just starting to work. And you can recognize that when people come to work and they understand when they come in and they go right to what their tasks are, because those are laid out in their strategic plan. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, I hope you've enjoyed this video in the storming phase. And if you have any thoughts or experiences in the storming phase, please provide those for us on our Facebook page so we can share in those experiences with you. You don't have to use names if you don't want to, but it's always interesting to see how people work through the storming phase. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please visit our Facebook page at Supply Leaders Academy. Provide some comments and some insight into how you work through the storming phase, and we look forward to seeing you on the Facebook page, and I also look forward to seeing you in the next video where we talk about norming. My name is Randy Malden with Supply Leaders Academy. I hope you have a great day.